It's November 5th, 2013. I'm Steven Chenault, and this is Troll Lord Games. Back in 2003, Matt Golden, co-founder of Troll Lord Games with my brother Davis and myself, came to me with a concept. He pitched me on the idea that each class should have its own familiar. Much like the wizard has the crow, or the bat, or homunculus, or what have you, every other class should be given the same treatment. However, it shouldn't just be a fighter gets a dog or a paladin gets a horse. It should be something that encapsulates the concept of the class. The way he laid it out was that each class has its own particular role at the table, so each class is familiar. Each class should be given the option to have a familiar to carry out that role in a greater capacity. For instance, the thief, or the rogue in the D20 days, would have, he could go with the cat or bat or what have you, but he also could go with the shadow familiar. Basically, his shadow becomes his own familiar, allowing him better eyes and ears in combat or in his roguish escapades or what have you. Each class was given the same treatment. The paladin would have a horse, weapons, the barbarian totems, the sorcerer, in those days the sorcerer for D20, illusionist now would be able to extend his spells beyond and summon familiars from his capacity of illusion. So the concept was very new and very original. There's nothing like this that I was aware of in the RPG community, nor anything in the works. So we jumped on the idea. We moved on to D20 idea. And hired a pretty good team led by Casey Christopherson, who you may be familiar with from the Haunted Highlands Kickstarter we did recently, to get to work on it. And they hammered out a fantastic book for 3.0. Now, it suffered a little bit in its early conception because even as we were finishing it, Wizards of the Coast announced 3.5. So we had to kind of go back to the drawing table and get some 3.5 folks in there, clean it all up to fit that rule set, and then we rolled it out the door. The Book of Familiars, original cover by Daniel Horn. Fantastic book. It was well received. Did really well despite the collapsing market. But as soon as 3.5 kind of fell to pieces, TLG shifted her focus to the Gary Gygax Legendary Adventures, Gygaxian Fantasy Worlds, and as importantly, Castles and Crusades. By 2004, we were deep into the development of that game. By 2005, CNC's out. Book of Familiars is cut. We drop our entire D20 line. Familiars joins it, vanishes into history, and sits there on the shelves untended for some time. In the intervening years, we've pulled it out from time to time, tinkered with it, messed with it, tried to convert it to a few other systems that we thought it might be a little bit more built for. CNC being a more simple role-playing game focused on characters and whatnot. More and more rules isn't necessarily what we were wanting. But in retrospect, once we began to look at the product again, it seemed to actually fit CNC very well. CNC is such a modular game that, though it's simple in its core, you get the player's handbook you're playing, you can take any amount of rules you want and attach to it however you want to do it. Those of you who've played for a long time know this. Those of you who haven't or are going to play soon will learn how very, very easy CNC is to attach anything to. And as soon as we pulled the Book Familiars off the shelf, maybe 2 years ago, it seemed odd that we hadn't pulled this thing off the shelf previously. It really is a fantastic and original concept to do with your classes and with the idea behind the familiar itself. So I gave Casey Christopherson a holler and hired him back to clean it all up, bring it over to CNC. He's really good at that. Twerking the rules, he did all of the advantages in CKG, where you spend experience points and you can get extra abilities and whatnot for your characters. He applied the same kind of concept to the Book of Familiars, turned it around relatively quickly, and we've got it here ready to go now. I dumped the whole thing on Peter Bradley's desk this afternoon, in fact, and he's begun the initial layout. He's got an absolutely fantastic cover in development, Griffin and a Dragon battle with a ranger on the griffin. So the griffin is actually the ranger's familiar. Very, very cool cover in the development, which you should be able to see on the page next to this video, or if you're watching this video from YouTube, head over to the Troll Lord's site and you can see it there. Basically, and real quick, the book gives each and every class the ability to have familiars, and each familiar for the class, as I mentioned earlier, is specifically geared for that class. You can check it out in the table of contents, see where we're going. We'll have that posted in the next few days. And we've set this thing up as we've done a number of other products, and you can jump in and support whatever level you want to support, from $1, I think, to $500 if you really want to dive into the whole TLG CNC shenanigans. But at any rate, we hope to see you join us and pledge your support either through the store or Amazon payments. Either way works fine with us, whatever works for you. I'm just stumbling around here listening to the crickets, which I think you might be able to hear, don't know. But at any rate, look for the new cover very soon. The book should be ready and done, ready for print in about maybe 5 weeks, give or take. And if we can put together $5,000, then we're definitely going to print this guy in hardback. So I hope to see you pledging, joining, pre-ordering, whatever you want to call it. Join the fray. Thank you much.